Vintage Backyard RC.
Hello, and welcome to Vintage Backyard RC. Well, it's sweltering hot out, but I don't care. I'm super glad to be able to be back in the yard racing a vintage RC car with you guys. Which is a great segue to this next topic. What exactly is a vintage RC car? Does it have to be an original car from the 80s or 90s? What about these re-release kits that are true to the original form of the car? Or this Ultima, which looks and feels the part, but it has some suspension and gearbox changes that allow us to run a more modern brushless drive system. The Holiday Buggy. It looks old school, right? But under that hood is a totally different beast. So, that's why we're here. I have my opinion on it. You guys discuss down below. Let's take a look at this Holiday Buggy under the hood, take it out for a test run, and decide whether it's vintage or not. Stand by. So, this is where I would normally point out the differences between the original kit and the re-release. But the fact is, aside from the body, and even that's slightly different, there really is no comparison between the original 1980 Holiday Buggy or its sister car, the 1981 Sand Rover, and the DT02 chassis-based Tamiya Holiday Buggy. So why did Tamiya decide to give us the looks, but not the vintage chassis? Well, let me tell you, I've driven a few of those old cars, and they were absolutely terrible. They had zero suspension, a weak gearbox, and a chassis as brittle as glass. They were definitely a better shelf queen than a track terror. So let's take a look under the hood and see what we got. Up front, we have a modern double wishbone suspension, dampened by two friction CVA shocks. Out back, we have more of the same, both an upper and lower rear control arm, dampened by two friction shocks, pin drive dog bone system, and that little RS380 motor that I've grown to love. This is all of course housed in Tamiya's familiar ABS bathtub style chassis. And while the body is very similar to the original kit, it does have some slight differences. First and foremost are those two big honking holes at the front of the hood to make room for those friction shocks. Also, the wheel arches are slightly wider to cover up those DT02 chassis tires. Finally, Tamiya did something that's perhaps unforgivable. They made this body out of the same plastic they make plastic trash cans out of. Paint does not adhere to this stuff, and after a very long and tedious process, I did manage to get paint to sort of stick to it, but it's already starting to chip off. Ring that shame bell. So let's see what this pretty little lady can do on the track. Let's go. Alright guys, that was definitely fun. And while we had no issues with the car, we definitely had some issues with the heat. It took out two of our cameras, we lost a couple of the angles we were trying to give you. Next time we'll do it in a little bit cooler weather. So without further ado, the Holiday Buggy did a lap in 11.56 seconds. That's unbelievable. It's faster than our Frog and our Hornet. Wow. Let's hit that slow motion and talk about it. So what do you guys think? I love how the car looks, and I love how it drives, but I'm not about to call it vintage. It's vintage-esque, or vintage-like, but definitely not vintage in my book. And once again, I believe we've proven that suspension and grip is more important than horsepower, especially on a small circuit like this. Unlike the Hornet, I believe I can bolt the 540 right in this car and it's going to take off like a rocket ship because the suspension can handle it. It's that simple. In the end, I really enjoy this car, and I think the results are fairly surprising. It's a great first car for my daughter, and something fun for me to kick around every once in a while. I once again want to thank the RC Elf for this amazing gift, and I want to thank each and every one of you that have stuck with us the past year. Hopefully now we'll be able to get outside and make some more content and have some more fun with RC cars. So for now, hit that like button, be sure to subscribe, and of course, rock on.